recording this one for YouTube because my kid has had snow days most of this week, and by snow days, it now means like staying home and doing school here. So, not fun.
Yay. That was me
There
last
we go.
week, so I get it. My nephew in kindergarten, it was painful. But anyway.
Yeah, but anyways, the main thing we're going to talk about and the thing we're recording for YouTube and stuff is we're going to talk about the newest Unearthed Arcana. And we do cover D&D stuff on the channel sometimes. We cover D&D stuff on the stream sometimes, especially in this Monday stream, because we talk TTRPG in general, and when you do that, D&D just comes up. But we don't talk a lot of Unearthed Arcana. This one's kind of important, though.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Absolutely.
So I guess before we get into discussing the mechanics here, or any of that stuff, the biggest thing in this is this Unearthed Arcana has the design note that is essentially Wizards of the Coast's statement of this is what we're doing moving forward. I'm gonna note this isn't an official statement. This is a statement within playtest material. In a lot of ways, they are testing the statement. As we've seen with D&D Next, Wizards is totally fine trying to obliterate something off the internet that only exists digitally. And within PDF forms that they control the distribution of, they can. That said, I think it's worth bringing up because they are not getting rid of the title of race or anything like that, but they are redefining what that means. I never expect them to get rid of the title of race. They will get rid of hit points when they get rid of race. Because you can see a lot of stuff in 5th edition where like they kind of want to get rid of XP. They're pushing away from hit points a lot in that earlier design stuff. But there are things that after 4th edition, when you try things very, very new, they don't work well. They're not getting rid of the staples, at least the names of them. But that said, I guess I'll read it. It's the final paragraph in this sidebar, which is the really important part, which is finally going forward, which is safe to presume books they push out from here on out. The term race, in quotes, in D&D refers only to the suite of game features used by player characters. Said features don't have any bearing on monsters and NPCs who are members of the same species or lineage, since monsters and NPCs in D&D don't rely on race or class to function. Moreover, DMs are empowered to customize the feature of the creature in their game as they wish. I think the first one is this was already built in and they just didn't see it. Of 5th edition never used the same rules for monsters as they do for players.
Yep.
The stuff that all races get, they tend to have like dwarven NPCs have certain racial abilities that the dwarf player race gets, but you'll see racial options where the monster set has other things. Because they follow different rules. Typically, they're streamlined things. None of them have classes, but they all have features from classes. Because you don't need all this bookkeeping, especially of things that don't exist within a single fight, because they understand a monster you're gonna kill isn't likely gonna hang around. And if it is, it's off screen, so who cares? But this open statement of it, I think, is pretty important. The second half of this empowers DMs to customize things as they wish. This isn't new. I feel like the latest push, especially with Tasha's, has been them not just saying publicly on social media or whenever they're interviewed of like, 5th edition is meant for you to change and make the game your own. Or in the books where they literally just say, make the game your own and leave it at that. Now they're going, you have permission to change this specific thing. You have permission to change this specific thing. Because there are players and GMs that feel if the books don't specifically tell you you can change this, you can't. And this is basically them stepping them all back, going, when we
Hmm.
said this, we thought you were kind of mature enough to understand these
Understand
things,
it. Yeah.
but no, you're not. Those of you who aren't. And here you go. It shouldn't need to be said, but there you go. Now it's said. So what's your take on all this before we go like
Yeah.
super deep dive and shit?
Yeah, so I'm actually really happy that this is happening because, at least for the games I run, a house rule I've always put in is basically you can at least move over at least one of your points for your race. Because I mean, who doesn't want to play a wizard orc? I'm sorry, I want to play a wizard orc. Like, I want to play a smart orc that is amazing. And, like, for me, like, I don't necessarily want that wizard to be super strong, or I don't need them to be tanky. And it kind of forces players, like if they want a power game, which a lot of D&D players do, to like be pigeonholed to certain races. And I mean, not even to get into like the SJW stuff that I'm really trying to not get on a soapbox about,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have it just be like a feature, not a forced personality type, I guess. Because
Mm-hmm.
like one of my favorite characters I've ever created was a gnome barbarian that was raised by orcs. Now, she basically was forced to be super smart, even though I didn't really want her to be. I wanted her to be more wise than smart, but because of how the GM had the rules, I was pigeonholed to kind of make my character, I guess, not at the potential I wanted because they thought that I couldn't really switch it up.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice to give permission, like, because some GMs like are super rules as written, they don't want to do anything against the book. And the fact that basically Wizards just now is saying, look, you can change that up if your player wants to, just like any of the rules, the situation comes first and then the rules as written.
Yeah.
I think it opens a lot of doors to customization, which has been heavily needed in 5e personally. I want more things that I can change about my character. And I think subclasses are great. But I want, if this is next on the list, having like switchable class features and things, I think is
Or you
next
mean
on the
race
board.
features?
Or like
I mean, we all
switchable
want
race
switchable
features.
class features, but like,
I
it's not
want
like
switchable class
it's
features
not like they
personally, but
already did that in second edition or anything. But
I like my old editions, Bobby.
no,
I
no,
like.
I'm sipping tea for all the people who think Pathfinder invented it.
Oh, gotcha. It's
Because no,
like
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons
8:30,
Second
9
Edition had an
o'clock.
entire book dedicated to that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
very true. But yeah, like that's one thing I really liked about 3.5 is like, oh, you're playing elf. Well, if you were raised in this type of situation, you would learn this type of magic. It was more based on how you were raised instead of like your natural
mhm.
ability, and I like that they're going towards that again.
Yeah. Now, I mean to go back on Pathfinder. One of the things, well, I have some issues with Pathfinder. There's also things in Pathfinder I think are brilliant, and like the heritage feats
Yes,
are amazing.
in the ancestry.
Oh, that's what I meant, ancestry. Now, I do want to bring up something with this. When you go, I love it. Typically, we would shift stats around and stuff. You're referring to what's in Tasha's, not what's here, because none of the race options here. We're still going to keep saying race because it's the vernacular. But none of the race options here have any modifiers.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I love about it is
Yeah.
that you can choose now. You can choose what's best for your character.
Yes.
And that's what I've always wanted. I want my gnome barbarian to be strong and tanky. I want my orc wizard to be really smart and charismatic. Uh, this gives that option.
Oh, 100%. I mean, something I was bringing up before we were live and stuff, speaking of older editions, is like one of my favorite editions of D&D's BX. Rules Compendium, all of that. That's the one I started on, so it's very near and dear to my heart. And for any of the people who think getting a racial bonus is part of the roots of D&D, it's not. Race affecting your stats always has been, so like some of the, we'll just say, problematic ideas were already there, but it was never if you play a dwarf you get a bonus to constitution. It was if your constitution is above this score, you're now allowed to pick this option, because the older design mentality was you rolled randomly and then your stats helped govern the type of race and class you were. I would also say that was part of, not saying all dwarves were like this, but you're a heroic dwarf. And to be the heroic ideal of a dwarf, you have to meet this minimum requirement. That was just the design back then. So going in thinking everybody needs racial modifiers, no one's race got modifiers. Heck, back then you didn't even get modifiers for leveling. So it was what it was. In a lot of ways, this is bringing it back to that. And I'm with you. I think if we get suites of abilities, it's going to be way cooler. It's going to let us have toolkits. And I'm a fan of toolkits. How do I modify this race to be kind of more like this race? I literally just pull one ability out and plug a different ability in. Mm-hmm. I would love it if when they do that, all the abilities have point values, like they did in second edition, where you built your class based on point values and the class abilities you took and all of that stuff. I would love that. But at this point, this is at least in the right direction. I will step in to the fact of we have openly said on this channel, the statements they said Tasha's was going to do, they did not live up to what their promises were. If you like the open attribute points, and attribute points can just go wherever, they don't actually matter now, that's cool. From a design standpoint, it's lazy. Yeah. It's a cop-out. And it didn't fix any of the problems. It didn't discuss any of the problems. This at least kind of discusses the problems without being preachy about it. Without getting your fit, just like, this is the mentality. We're not stating other mentalities, just that this is the mentality we're going with. So you know, which isn't telling you how to feel about it. So for anybody who feels like it's SJW stuff, it's preaching, it's not. It's telling you how they feel on this subject. That's not preaching. If you like the old ones, it doesn't invalidate the old stuff. They're not changing any of the old stuff. Just moving forward, this is what your options will look like, which does mean they have to balance with it. I've seen a lot of discussion of they're going to get rid of race in 6th edition. First of all, everybody keeps thinking 6th edition is coming way sooner than it is, guys. This release pattern was for at least a 10-year plan. For at least a 10-year plan. Yeah. I mean, we're just now starting to see bloat issues. And they can ride, with how this trickle of actual mechanics comes out, they can ride out that bloat for a while before it becomes unsustainable. And they're not going to give up the golden goose. Like, they're making a lot of money on 5th. This is what it is right now for quite a while. Yeah. I mean, it sucks. I wish there was a 6E coming out, but realistically... I do feel like this was very much in response to people who are going, the Tasha's answer was kind of bullshit. Because it was kind of a non-answer. Yeah. I mean, I own the book and there's things I like in it, but I have kind of said a lot of Tasha's is also just kind of bullshit. There's things I like in it, but again, from a design standpoint and from like pushing the game forward standpoint, I am personally predicting we're going to see a lot more of these bringing back the PHB +1. So, and then when they have settings that matter, there's going to be a companion book for the setting that you got to pick, just like Elemental Evil was. So you can't do anything but PHB if you want to be legal. Because Tasha's has so many broken things. It's so broken. Like they didn't care about it breaking, which is fine. Like there's people who enjoy that and have fun with it. D&D is a supers game. That's fine. But from a longevity of the game situation, it's also we're just gonna kind of do whatever now. And here's the thing. If they would come out with an Unearthed Arcana going back to their classic PHB races revamping, or not races, I mean, I'm just talking about classes, because I mean that was the most glaring thing for me in Tasha's. Let's remember this. They completely re-released the Ranger. Well, Ranger, but I'm talking more about like the subclasses Ranger that are heavily. Is what needed it. I will fight this one. Ranger, yes, it really needed it. Yeah. Sorcerer I'm not saying no others so needed hard. It at all. But like, this is like I stubbed my toe versus he has a gunshot. Some things are a lot worse than others. Just like, who doesn't need it? The Rogue. The Rogue is very, very Rogue good. Is fine. Yeah, Rogue is fine. And I'm not even talking more of like
I think some class features need to be relooked at now that we have the newer books out. But I think when we look at the subclasses of the PHB, that was the most glaring issue I saw with Tasha's, and how we talked about the PHB +1 type idea that it'll probably coming out. We need, what I want from Unearthed Arcana this year is looking back at those subclasses and revamping them.
I
the ones
appreciate that you say what I want from Unearthed Arcana. Because also when this came out, I was seeing a lot of people of, well, this year's book's going to be, guys, they release a player-focused, non-campaign based book every 2 years. It's been like clockwork. Look at the release schedule. It is going to be 2 years till we see another of everything book. Because that's what they all are. They're of everything. The others are setting books or adventure books, and they've been very good about adding rules into them to make things like, I really should pick up Ghosts of Saltmarsh, even though I don't care about the adventures, because it has really good nautical rules. If they have good mystery rules, I'm going to have to pick up the new mystery book. Even though I'm like, we've discussed this already, but D&D isn't a mystery game. You can have like one-off mystery adventures, or you can slip mysteries in, but it's not the focus, and it's never going to feel quite right. Yeah, we've discussed that. Mary's just like, I'm shutting down now.
I'm trying really hard, Bobby. Just stay on task and not get the soapbox out. But
so we've done this. Let's get into the positives.
Should
I bring up my theory of why these are the races with the sidebar? Because
hell yeah.
I think it's very valid.
We need the content. It's great to talk about.
Yeah, let's be really honest here. I also don't think it's an accident that this sidebar and them discussing the new move with races is with all the Gothic add-ons of you get to be a vampire, a hag, or undead. Edgelords are going to freaking love the content in this book, which are the same people that are most likely to hate this sidebar. But that means there comes a certain level of having to accept it if it has the other things you like. That's calculated. That's smart release.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's a second thing. If they're releasing this Unearthed Arcana, I think they're prepping to do more with Curse of Strahd.
I do too. That was my initial thought. There's going to be a sequel.
Because why would you start out with figuring out how to play like a hag race, a vampire race, or a undead? Like how they describe things fits perfectly in that campaign setting. I feel like that's a book that's going to come out.
It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a return to Barovia, which may or may not have Strahd. Now, we could look at a post-Strahd Barovia, which could be interesting and fascinating. Or we're gearing up for essentially a Book of Vile Darkness.
And that would be amazing.
The evil campaign book.
Yeah, I think too, like Book of Vile Darkness, but also if you look like way back into the lore of Curse of Strahd, that's just one bubble in this network. There are so many other stories that they can go and look at, like different Lich stories of his little realm. I can't remember the name.
All the little pockets in the Shadowfell. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, do like a greater Shadowfell adventure. Oh my god, what if they bring back the Raven Queen? Like through
That's
a campaign.
What I was thinking.
That could be cool. That could be really cool. I know not everybody likes the Raven Queen, especially her showing up kind of changed some things.
I love the Raven
Queen. As far as the deity, I really like the Raven Queen.
I stand the Raven Queen. I use her in everything.
Yeah.
She's great.
Oh, she is. She's really fun.
We need to do our favorite deities some night.
Yes.
D&D.
No, but then we're going to have to get into like Greek and Roman deities and how, yes, a god can be disabled.
Oh, no.
Hey.
What are we going to do
Let's save that
then?
for a different stream. Sorry, I'm remembering last week where someone like bitched that a god in a wheelchair isn't plausible, and everybody
was
like,
this?
It was on Twitter.
I don't remember this.
Oh god, it was like last week.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was gone from Twitter last week was rough, man.
And everybody was like, have you heard of Hephaestus?
Like literally.
I can never enunciate his name, but like
Hephaestus.
Hephaestus, like this is a major deity, It's the
He
deity
literally
of
has
creativity.
basically, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Goggle's coming on.
Hey, Goggle.
Oh,
Welcome to the
let's
thing.
welcome to the shit
Show up
show.
place. Hola.
There we go.
Hi.
But yeah,
Hey.
let's get into the actual races now. We're done with the
Specifics.
sidebar. Because we have spent
Yes.
20 minutes on a sidebar. I mean, I think it deserves it.
I mean, that's pretty short for us.
What are y'all talking about, by the way?
The new Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah. So the
Ooh.
Gothic Lineages that they just released a couple days ago.
Have you read this?
I have
Goggle?
I'll
not.
send you the
This
link.
is the first
Okay.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so you need to know about this because I'm not going to
You'll freak
reread
out.
the whole paragraph because I already did it on stream, but I will read the sentence of, finally going forward, the term race in D&D refers to...
There's
a
a link for you.
sidebar that fully breaks it down. Like, it's like, this is how we feel about it. This is what it is going forward. None of the races in this have ability modifiers at all. They're all just special ability packages.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, speaking of those races, the Dampier. Let's be a vampire. Like, that's what this is. Which I like because, again, like, the monster manual has, what if you become a vampire? It does, but it's like, it essentially makes the character unplayable.
Yeah.
Where this is a racial template that you just get to throw on top.
Yep.
So, one thing I find interesting is speed 35 feet. I would personally change to speed plus 5 feet of whatever your original race was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't fully balance them, but it's obviously assumed humans. Like, kind of,
Yeah.
that's the baseline. That's what D&D assumes. So if their speed's 35, it should just be plus 5 feet. That way, if like because a tabaxi vampire, I actually think would be really fucking cool.
Oh God.
If it's a tabaxi vampire, that would end up being 35 feet anyhow.
I thought they had 35 feet of movement.
Nope, they've got 30.
Okay, who has 35 feet of movement?
I think
What else?
Wood elves.
Yeah.
A wood elf vampire would be speedy. But okay,
tabaxi vampire is still really fast because they have the feline.
Yes,
You
they have
double-
the feline agility. So you then get dark vision
If you didn't already.
if you didn't already. Well, these basically go. It takes away all of your racial abilities and gives you these instead,
Oh,
Yeah.
then scratch what I said about the tabaxi.
which is also like 35 feet. I would look at these as you can put them on top because I do feel like
That's what I would do as well.
a dwarven vampire and an elven vampire should be
be different.
if they were already different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like a dwarf becoming a vampire doesn't forget their knowledge of brewery. It just
Exactly.
doesn't happen. If they had it, they had it then. You get spider climb, where you get
Mhm.
climbing speed equal to your walking speed. In addition, at 3rd level, you can move up, down, and across vertical surfaces and upside down along ceilings while leaving your hands free.
Hands free. Ooh, that's good.
I love. Yeah.
And then
and also.
vampiric.
Oh,
bite.
I was just gonna say.
Oh.
Go into the vampire bite, and then we'll talk about the
Yeah,
flaw.
so vampiric bite, I feel, is actually a really big signifier of them finally giving in on some of the stuff they were doing to prevent min-maxing that just didn't work. Because vampiric bite, while it's a natural weapon, it specifically says which counts as a simple melee weapon.
Yes.
Now that means it's not finesse, so it doesn't count for sneak attack, which kind of sucks. Granted, given that it can heal you equal to the damage the bite deals,
It's a
I'm not gonna
D4
argue
though.
with that.
well, if it were sneak attack,
That would
Still,
be
you would have to be super high and you have to be under half or half your hit points. You gotta
True.
remember that.
but
Yeah.
imagine imagine a vampire assassin. Now, granted, I also think a vampire assassin should be allowed to just like drop on somebody and like fully reheal. Like, fuck, that's fucking cool. D&D is one of the games where I'm super down, unless I'm playing a really great game of, fuck it, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's a supers game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like what I really like, so I like looking at the different things that you can like basically build a story around a character. And that's something I found really, really interesting about reading through the Dampier. They have different versions of hunger. You do not have to go with blood. There are a ton of options of how you're affected by this.
I love that cerebral spinal fluid is
right?
on there. Like, I fucking... Or dreams.
Esoteric humors. That makes me laugh so hard.
Oh my God.
That is so... It just sucks the life out of the room.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah.
But can we also acknowledge that on number 6, we have an Adventure Time reference?
A color from one's appearance. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also it goes into that what I like most is that all of these, the origin and the hunger, give hooks for GMs to create quests.
Now, I guess
that is what I look for.
Yes. I guess it is worth going back and saying this isn't a vampire, it is a Dampier. So it does make sense that like you're born as one. Let's be honest, guys. We're all going to use this to make vampires. Like, let's be real honest about that.
Like this is actually like a really nice template for just saying, hey, this character was bitten by a vampire. We could use this instead of just rebuilding everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, just give them the special abilities now.
Yeah. Slap the special abilities on, and then I
Worst
really
case,
like the origin.
Honestly, I would be completely fine with going, especially things that might take time to fester to fully transform. You transform the next time you would get an ability.
Slowly get the abilities.
No, the next time you get an ability score improvement, and you get these instead of a feat.
Ooh, I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that.
If you're looking to keep characters balanced, I would say all these together is equal to about a feat.
Well, if you got every single ability, sure.
You got
we're not saying
the
one
Dampier
at a time.
abilities at once.
We're not saying
what
one
I'm
at
saying.
One at a
I'm
time.
saying-
Okay, I was just like, whoa.
No,
But yeah, I get that.
Totally. That's totally fair to be like, that's a little bit
you got to sacrifice one per. No, it's you sacrifice an ability score improvement and you get the entire racial thing as just like a bonus on top.
And that's like if you feel the need to balance it.
Yes. That's what I say. Like if you feel
further.
like, or if you're worried some players are going to get butt hurt.
Yeah.
That's a compromise.
Yeah.
Because
but
we
I
all
really
have
like...
had those groups where the one guy's like, but he's more powerful now.
Oh God, don't. Oh my God.
I have only dealt with that once in my entire time being a DM or GM, which is not a whole lot of time. But the fact that that I've still had to deal with it in the small amount of time that I've dealt with it means that it is still a big problem.
Yes,
but like,
it is a common problem.
That guy's stronger than me, and I'm just like, have you heard of min-maxing?
Well, no, it's he gets more toys than I do. It's essentially what it boils down to.
And it's like, are you using your toys creatively?
Well, here's the thing. Cool, I'm gonna give him one less magic item.
Oh, well, yeah, that's like a quick way to do it. But then there's just the point of he gets more toys than I do, and I just look at them and say, non-variant human, what do you want?
Yeah.
See, this is the thing I run into. So I will give out magic items to my players, and because it's not exactly what they want, they won't use it and then say they never got magic items.
Yeah, I hate that.
Because like literally last week they were like, oh, I didn't even know that. And I'm like, well, I gave that to you. You have gotten 3 magic items so far. And they were like, well, I didn't like the one. I'm like, and you gave it away.
Yeah, they're not on my wish list, so they don't count.
Yeah, and then she gave this awesome item. I made these, they were gauntlets that were basically obsidian, like it's basically Malphite, let's face it, from League of Legends. You use a bonus action and it shoots out daggers like within melee range because she was a melee sorcerer. It's a great item. Yeah. And she had no bonus actions at all.
So it also just gave it to her.
And nope, it wasn't. She wanted a +2 weapon at level 7. I'm like, that's not happening, bro. Sorry. And my one guy's like, I want a cloak of displacement or a ring of protection +2. I'm like, you're level 9. No. I'm sorry. No, you're not getting anything +2 until you're level 11. I'm sorry. I'm a hard ass.
Speaking of bonus actions, I did realize something that's nuts with the Dampier. As I had said, if you take the 2-weapon fighting feat, it being a simple melee weapon means you can then offhand with it. Hey, Ash is showing up. But what I didn't think about is you could do your bonus action first, bite someone and then get that crazy high bonus on the same turn and just annihilate people. Hey, Ashton.
Hey, Ash.
Hey. I don't know what's going on in wrestling right now, and it's 2 men, so I don't care.
I was going to say, well, what's
Hey.
going on is Ash is wearing some of our sweet merch.
I
Yeah,
am wearing-
show it off for our sweet
Culture
merch.
Prince, rip and pull, dude.
I still love that I designed that entire shirt from scratch.
It's real good. It's real
It's
good.
good. It's good. Good.
We're
good.
talking about the new Unearthed Arcana for D&D
Uh-huh.
because they addresses the concept of race in D&D.
Mhm.
I read about that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
great.
Well, we covered that whole part, and now we're talking
Okay,
about the actual
cool.
races.
Because I
Um,
don't have anything good to add. I read like one paragraph of a single article. A tweet. I read a tweet. So
all I heard was the beginning of it that Bobby said, and I'm like, finally.
That's the beginning of the last
I just
paragraph.
sent you the link if you want to look at it. You don't have to look at it if you don't want to.
But
I
yeah,
sent it to you
so
just in case.
the next race, we're still gonna say race because they even say it's gonna refer to race.
Oh wait, I want to talk about the origin. I've been
yeah.
trying to get it out.
Oh yeah, the
The
origin's really
plot
fucking
points. They're so cool. You don't have to just be bit by a vampire. Oh no, there's many options that I never would have thought
cool.
of. Like you're a reincarnation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Never
fun.
would have thought of that.
Now, to be fair,
You
this isn't
Parasite.
the first. Oh,
It's so
yeah.
cool.
Like the movie.
No, but
I'll be here all week. Thanks,
I was gonna say,
everyone.
but I will
Um,
say this is the first time because this is basically what they did with the classes in Xanathar,
I'm
which I loved.
yes.
That each of the classes
I'm-
got little tables to add story hooks for your class.
How do I put this? I appreciate that they put references into other things in these lists, like
Mhm.
the hungers, where they could suck color from somebody.
Yeah.
Or number 5 in Origins, you loved an immortal and were willing to be transformed into a vampire to join them.
Me.
The tragedy interrupted the
me.
transformation.
Yep.
Tell me that's not
Yeah.
Twilight.
No,
Hey,
it is.
first of all,
Some people want to be Twilight.
That's
Ash
fair.
wants to be Bella. Like, it's
do
just,
not get me started on Twilight. Okay, I have so many things to say about it, and we can't get into it.
all right.
Bella, but with actual emotion.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing.
Oh god,
Here's
it's gonna
the
take us
thing.
forever to get through this now.
No,
Mary.
we can't.
Yep.
We can't.
We're
Don't.
screwed.
I will not say
We're
a
so
single
dead.
thing.
Okay.
I will write
Because
a.
once
I
we're
will
done
write
covering
a-
the PDF, I can stop recording this for YouTube.
I will write an essay,
And then we can go on
then-
rants.
Then we can go on rants. But
Okay,
yeah, so
great.
the second race they have is the Hexblood, which is become a hag.
Okay, me. Also me.
Which
Like literally, it
also-
has a sidebar called "Becoming a Hag."
a
Yes.
thing to add to one of my players in one of my games was like, I want to be the child that gets given up for the hag, like the first child.
That's,
This is how you do it.
this is one of the origins.
It's great.
It's the first origin on the list.
Love it. God, I wish that was me.
God, a coven of hags lost one of their members. You were created to replace the lost hag.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Okay, wait. Campaign, and it's just a bunch of hags.
What I love is getting
I'm-
like jumping a
Ash,
little
I'm in.
ahead, getting into the mechanics. You count as Fae and humanoid, which is
Yes.
kind of sucky. Like it's actually worse than counting as
Mhm.
Fae or counting as humanoid because both
Well, yeah.
things can affect you.
Yeah.
But magic token is so cool.
It's great. It is scry for low levels.
Yes. I mean,
I'll-
I kind of wish at higher levels you could get access to the other hag items.
hmm But that's
Like-
also something that you could, as a GM, add in.
Oh, yeah.
And those could be magic items that only you can use because you're part hag.
To be fair,
Um,
a Hearthstone is broken as hell.
Oh fuck yeah! Like,
Goggle knows about that. Let's
yeah.
just become ethereal at will whenever we want.
hmm
That
Yeah,
is so
Ash, Hags in D&D have just automatically come with an item because hags just have magic items called a Hearthstone. At any time, they can go ghost.
Yep.
Love it.
Every action.
Thank you for using terms that I am familiar
Every
with.
round, they could either go ghost or come back.
Oh, that's so hot.
Which is
I want to be
what
a
I
hag.
did to Dick with Goggle and his party because they pissed off a hag. She went ghost, went like through the ethereal realm, became corporeal while they were all sleeping, grabbed their shit, and then jumped back to the ethereal realm, the ghost zone, and just left their shit there because there's no way to go back and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Took my fucking mop.
I also like that they do give a couple, like they give a spell basically that you have disguise self. So
Mhm.
like you basically get something you can actively use.
That's
get
a
dark vision
fair
'cause
way to
They
compensate
throw it out
for.
like candy.
That's a fair way to compensate for races that normally get shape change.
Exactly.
If you just get disguise self, I think it's really
And
fair.
also, like the idea that you were a fae that's now been cursed because you committed a crime.
Mhm.
That's a great story hook.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this PDF because of all the great story hooks for a GM. Now, what I will say is, as a GM, like, don't feel like you're like you have to make your players
Obligated.
choose one of these options. They're options for coming up with ideas. So don't force your characters to have to pick from a list. It's just a way to come up with fun ideas. And even this, I do a huge amount of fae and like weird magical creatures in my campaigns. I'm going to use some of these
Yeah, I
because of
use
how
Fae
good they
and
are.
people cry.
Same.
I didn't quite cry, but I know that somebody in the group considered it.
When you use a fae to murder a child and have the ghost not know that they're dead, yeah, that's how you do it.
By the way, Bobby, that someone may have been me.
Oh no, I was talking about the main villain in the Saturday show.
I'm not even going to argue with that. Like, there's no point in that. I'm talking about
it's
the
the
I'm all
last.
every Saturday, it's
the most
fine.
evil NPC I've ever made, and it was 100% because I went. It's a fae with power and a grudge. What would they do?
Damn.
All right, and then
Fuck
just so we can
everybody's
get
shit.
through this kind of quick, because like this is gonna be like a 45-minute YouTube video. Let's just
Yep.
get into the Reborn, which is the last of the
Yes.
races they have, which I love not just on its own, but as another alternative to if your players die and you
Exactly.
don't know what to do, you just bring them back.
And they
with
want to
the
come
Reborn.
back.
That's incredible.
And they're low enough level that they don't have revivify and things like that. This is a way to do it, just like
Yeah.
how they have the Revenant. You can think of this like a Revenant.
Yes, it's very much like a Revenant.
You mean the movie?
No.
No, there are no
No.
bears or Leonardo.
Hang on. How about a reborn bear?
No.
Okay,
no.
now we're getting at something. What
That's a
skills
baronet.
does what
Never bared.
Oh my
I hate it.
god.
Flooded
Y'all.
with.
did you think we're gonna get shit done with me and
No.
Goggle here? No. As
Beth
soon as I'm
was-
in.
Beth was messaging me on Facebook a shit ton, so like my audio on the recording is just going bladun, bladun, bladun.
Oh god.
It's fucking 11 o'clock at night. But yeah, there. As with that, you get to pick how you recall your memories.
Yeah.
Or no,
and I like
actually,
that.
the lost memories.
No.
Like realistically, you could roll that every time you regain memories. That's
Like
really
if
cool.
there's an action that like your GM, like, because this is one thing, like let's say you're playing this character and they die. Your GM could be like, yeah, you wake up, you don't know who the fuck you are, and I'm gonna hand feed you these as your character develops.
Well, not just that, they literally get an ability called Knowledge from Past Life. You could kick this in every
Yeah.
time they use that ability.
Absolutely.
And then, per usual, you have origins. All of these have origins. All of them have dark vision, because in 5th edition, like, you have dark vision or you're human.
They throw it like candy. Or like Mardi Gras beads.
Which I still stand... I don't get why people think Lurker isn't a good feat. You don't understand how dark vision works. Lurker is a phenomenal feat if you have dark vision.
Absolutely.
Like, it's nuts. What's Death's nature? Oh.
Just
it's
yeah,
just the
ahead.
package.
Congratulations.
Which I definitely feel like they
yeah.
wanted each bold thing to be worth an amount. The fact that some are
Yes.
just packages.
Mhm.
Like, don't need sleep, eat, drink. Those are kind of ribbon abilities for the most part, unless your game really focuses on it. But then advantage on death saving throws.
Ugh.
and saving throws against disease and being poisoned.
Who gives a crap
And
about
you
that?
are
You have
resistant.
advantage on death saves.
Yeah, that is
Oh, yeah, no, but I'm
incredibly
just saying-
fantastic.
But this is one thing, when I was reading this, I'm like, oh god, this is so OP. In the beginning, if you go to the very beginning, creating a character, and they talk about having different tags as your race, so like humanoid, fae,
Yeah.
undead. Undead and construct cannot be healed normally by spells.
Yes.
So advantage on death saves is almost mandatory
Yeah.
because you are going to die.
Because you actually have to
like,
pay
so
attention to the
fast.
fact that you have humanoid as well as construct or undead. And unlike Warforged, you don't have a special ability that bypasses it.
Exactly.
Warforged are constructs, but they have a special tag that goes, but you can be healed.
Now,
Reborn
if
don't.
your GM wants to get creative and say that you heal through necrotic damage like they do in 3.5, cool.
Which I
awesome.
love. I love that.
I love that. I do that in my own campaigns.
It actually means like per spell levels in 5th edition, like you get way better heals than everybody else. Because like
Mhm.
harm is way more powerful than cure wounds.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, like it can only be used to help you.
Mhm.
So that is all of them. We kind of covered all the base. I wanted to cover the whole PDF before we did any of that. We're going to be going on rants, but I'm not going to record all that because I'm probably going to have to chop this thing down. If any of this interested you for any reason, it's probably going to bomb on YouTube, but I need a video right now. It's been crazy here. Check us out live on Mondays where we do this.
Whatever
check out
this was.
Or check out any of our shows the rest of the week or our podcasts. Yes, I said plural because more are coming. And all of
Come
that
see
stuff.
us on Tuesday, tomorrow.
Yay! I mean, they won't see this till Wednesday, but yeah.
Well,
Next
come see us
Tuesday.
on Tuesday, a week from 1 day less than a week from the day you see this. In theory, as assuming that Bobby does it right.
And check out our Skull Splitter Dice link where you can buy really cheap Skull Splitter Dice. Goodbye!